What's it doing? It's translating. I don't want it to do that. Turn that. Oh, here. Stop translating. That was weird. It was like going to translate everything I was saying in this lecture into the chat. That would have been just stupid. All right, let me share my screen. We'll get started. So I'm going to show you how this came about. And we talked about some strategies, and there's a web link for someone. I forget the photographer's name. Had some really good advice on shooting stars at night, and to actually get the star trails to pop out. I'll just kind of go through the process of how this was had. This was shot, I found it on the map, well, relatively on the map, kind of on the map. We were up from the Llama Hotel here, up this ridge line heading towards the Long Tongue National Park. I think it was like around here. We found a little tea house that we slept at a couple nights. It was a super clear night, really cold. I think it got down into the 30s that night. And so I set up my tripod outside of our place to bunks, basically outside of bunks where we were staying. And I had a full battery. I set it up to shoot. Every 30 seconds. I had it take a picture. And what I did was I had a piece of software loaded onto the camera card that gave me the ability to shoot an intervalometer on the camera. So for those of you who don't know what an intervalometer is, it is by definition intervalometer. Here's the one for Canon. This is what it looks like out of the box, and they come as remote controls as well. But the one that I got was actually free. It's a piece of software. So it's this company. It's called Magic Lantern, and they are. They make a piece of software that you can download and install on your camera. They are essentially they've taken the OS for Canon camera, and they have just added a massive amount of content onto the iOS of your Canon device. So if you go to the website, you can find your camera on here. Then you can basically install this onto that camera. So I think I was shooting a 50D at the time. So it had I think it had it's a tiny piece of software. You download it. Right here, it's a zip file. Unzip it. You throw it onto your camera card. You put the camera card back into the camera, and then you restart it with and it will. If you follow the instructions on the website, it'll basically replace it doesn't overwrite it. It just uses the one that's on the camera card and not on the the internal memory of the camera. So had that already installed on the camera card, turned on, did a few tests and figured out that to get this exposure right here, I would need to shoot this, and I wanted depth of field, so I was shooting like an 11 f-stop on it, and then I had to turn the ISO up, I think, to 800. I also had to shoot in JPEG because there was no way I was going to be able to capture what ended up being 757 photographs. There was no way I was going to capture 757 photographs of this sunset. I'm sorry, of this star trail. So so I had to set it to JPEG. So I lost all the metadata because I shot it in JPEG, but I was able to. I wrote it down after making the test, and it was a 800 ISO. It was a 3-second exposure, and it was I think did I say 11 f-stop, and 3-second exposure, and it was a 30-second interval between each photograph. So the camera, I turned the camera on, took the first picture, and then the intervalometer set to 30 seconds. So it automatically took 3-second exposure, waited 27 seconds, took another 3-second exposure, 27 seconds, another, and it just did that till it ran out of battery life. And I just put it at the part of the sky that faced Kathmandu because I wanted a little bit of light in the sky. And we're quite a ways away from Kathmandu. We're as the crow flies. If you look at it on the map here, here's where we were, somewhere around here on this ridge line, heading towards Langtang National Park, and then Kathmandu is way down here. So it's to our south, kind of glowing on the horizon. So so that's the reason I picked that spot. Gave me a little bit more light, and I thought that it would give me some nice color too. And it was true. It gave these kind of really deep, kind of midnight blues. Okay, so I was able to do that. Also, a cool thing about this is that, and if you take my 410 class, I'll show you how to do this. But I was able to put these together inside of After Effects and create a motion of the actual stars moving in the sky. So this is a movie that was made of all of the frames put together, and it shows the actual tracking of the stars through the sky. So, any of you guys interested in taking that? This class is a prerequisite for that class. It's 410. Anyway, so how do you take all these layers then and put them into one image that gets you the star trails? And that's essentially what I've got going on here in Photoshop. And this is just 100. These are just 100 JPEGs that have been put on top of each other and then composited together. So the way that I did that was I pulled all 100 files into Photoshop. So I went into Bridge. I selected the first 100 files. So here's 001, image 001. And I went all the way down to 100, which is, I already passed it up. It's somewhere around here. Shift, click, right? And then under Tools and Photoshop, I told it to load the files into Photoshop layers. All right, so that's how I get all of the 100 JPEGs into Photoshop. Okay, so that that took a hot minute, and then inside of Photoshop, then inside the layers palette, I've got 100 layers in there. This is actually 100 through 200 because I'm doing 700 of these to get a full rotation, and This is just 100 at a time. I'm doing it this way because my computer couldn't handle doing more than 200 at a time. So it could handle 100, so I'm doing 100 at a time. So I selected all the layers in the stack, and then just to make sure that everything was like there was no kind of bumping going on or any kind of vibration that was happening. This area is really well known for earthquakes, and so there could be some, some tremors and stuff that might be occurring constantly. It's constantly the Earth's crust is constantly pushing up on the Himal plate of in this area. The fault plates, what they call tectonic plates, that are pushing against one another. There's like two massive ones that actually are making the mountains in the Himalayas taller every year or so. But anyway, and we're not talking about like a fraction of an inch and so forth. But anyway, there is some movement. So I told it to, under edit, auto align all the layers just to be safe. That took the longest. That took the longest to do was the auto align. Auto align 100 layers inside of Photoshop took about 10 minutes to do. But once that was done, then I selected all but the very last layer. You can see here the very last layer does not have, it's just set to normal, And then all the other layers from 199 all the way to 100, I set those to lighten color as a so that it allowed all the different colors to come through. Because without any just normal, all you see are the stars in the sky. But when you tell it to go to some sort of a process of taking each one of those files and letting it be transparent, and show through the layers that are underneath it, that stack comes through. And so here's lighten. I noticed that only worked in a couple of situations. So lighten worked. Lighten color worked, and then also, what was it? Linear light? No, pin light. That's what it was. Pin light worked as well. And this one was interesting because it gave this kind of soft, sort of subtle kind of trail of the lights of the star movement. So that kind of created more of a shooting star, because the very last layer is the brightest one that you're seeing there, and then everything else is kind of like a little bit of a subtle kind of glow. So there's a few that work. So pin light, lighten, and then lighten color. So I didn't really see a difference between lighten and lighten color, but I don't know. You might just, depending on what colors you have in your sky, you might try something different. Anyway, so so then I saved that as a copy, as a JPEG, and then I'm going to call this one, that would be 100 through 200. Okay, and hit OK, save. And then I do that again for layers 3, where is it? 2, go down to 2, let's go down to 200, to, where'd it go? 200 through 300. Whoops, that's 400. There's 300 and 301, 300. Shift click. So that selects all those, right? And then again, under tools, under Photoshop, load files into Photoshop layers. And it just dumps all 100 files into a Photoshop layer. Still working. 2, 1, done. Just loaded them all in there. Okay, so now I would select all of them. So the top layer 200 is selected, go all the way down to the bottom layer, shift click, right? And then under edit, auto align layers. I'm not going to do that right now because, like I said, it takes 10 minutes just to auto align on this computer. But what I am going to do is bring those other two files in so that you can see when I put them together. Let's go to where am I? Observed. My desktop. There's 1 through 100. I need that one. And then I need 200. Maybe it's at the bottom. 100 through 200. That's what it was. 100 through 200. Okay, both of those. Open those two. Okay, and then we'll take the 100 through 200 and we'll dump it on top of the. Let's see, take that, dump it here. And just line it up. We'll select both of those, align those layers. Auto align. These are just 2 layers. It shouldn't take but just a second to do that. Okay, so then make layer 1 dissolve on top of layer 2. So lighten. And you can see it's not fully kind of tracking across the sky. I don't know that you want it to completely, track across the sky, because I don't think you'll have much sky left if you have all stars just sweeping across the sky. So I would just do this in kind of increments that are a little bit more kind of bits and chunks that that you can take. So like I said, that was my camera just using up its entire battery over the course of an evening, and you can see I didn't make it to morning, and it doesn't really give you a good variation from sky changes, just because of where I was pointing the camera. If I had been pointing at the northern star, then that's where you would get the one star, the northern star, not moving, and then everything circling around it. That would be another way that you could do this project, where you're focusing on Polaris, which is the northern star, and that's where that's always in the northern part of the sky, always in that one spot. That's why it's used as a navigational piece of information. Anyway, so anybody have any questions about the technique? Check the, can't see the chat, so. Okay, no questions so far. Okay. All right, so so I want to share that with you. Then I also wanted to show you, let's go back here to desktop and let's go to observed. So these are some shots of stars that I did. So one thing I wanted to point out to you guys, that what's really a difficult thing if you're wanting to actually achieve this process and this project is something that is kind of difficult to do at night with a DSLR, and that is finding focus. Because when you're shooting stars, you would think you'd just set it to infinity on the focus and you're good to go. But that's not the case. So what you have to do is, and these are just a few of the tests that I was kind of doing to kind of start off, is, and I'm going to sort of simulate this by using my magnifying glass inside a bridge. But when you're taking your photograph on your tests, be sure that you look at the preview on the back of the LCD of the camera, and then zoom in, find a star, and zoom into it. Just blow it up as big as you can, and make sure that that star is in focus, because you do not want to shoot 700 frames that are out of focus and that are unusable. So, you know, if you were tracking, these are stars right here. They're shot a little later, and I think Polaris is somewhere over here, but you can see that you know, there's a little bit of motion going on there, and that's because this is a 13-second exposure, and so the stars that are closer to us are moving faster, and then the stars that are further away. So you might want to find a happy medium between a time of exposure. So that's a 20-second exposure there. Here's one that's 13 seconds, 8 seconds. As you can see here, that the difference between that star right there, here as an f4 exposure at 8 seconds, and f4 at 13 seconds. So you can see you're getting a little bit of motion blur there that you didn't get here at 8 seconds. Also, there's a little bit of overexposure, I think, too. But that is, you know, the result of just too long of an exposure with your long nighttime exposure. And then this one was a 13-second exposure and an 8-second exposure. And in both cases here, I'm also painting with a flashlight. So I have a torch in my hand, and I'm illuminating the leaves of the trees that are just there, and at the same time capturing with an 8-second exposure at an ISO of 3200. So so the ISO does need to be up quite a bit in order to get shorter exposure times. So be sure that you are adjusting for that particular instance. So and you do want to just kind of go through the process of experimenting with different f-stops, different shutter speeds, different ISOs, to get the exposure that you're looking for in the sky. So, yeah, 10 seconds, 8. You can see there, that's all that grain. You see all that grain that's going on there? That's a 25,000 ISO on that exposure. You're going to get a lot of grain with that really blown out overexposure. So just be aware of that. I think that's as high as that camera will shoot. That's just as is the top of the range for the ISO. It's maxed out there. So I don't think you need to go this high with your ISO. I think you can get away with good nighttime photography with something around 16 or 3200 ISO. So it's just a matter of bringing that f-stop up or down to allow more or less light to come through there, and then just getting that shutter speed to be correct. Okay, so that's one type of observed situation, and then these are some examples of those twilight photos that you can capture late at night after the sun is set. So this is probably about I'll have to go back to the raw file and see what time it was. But I think this is this was shot right about this time of year, early November, and it was probably about, I'm going to say just about 30 minutes after the sun had set. And then I just kept shooting for the duration of the time that I was out there. So you know, you can see how it got pretty dark pretty quick, and it was you know, a windy night. And I just took these photos on my back deck, and they're kind of like Christmas lights that I strung up, and they're connected to a series of prayer flags that I found on the streets of Kathmandu when I was there, and they're blowing in the wind, and they're capturing some of the light and causing a lot of these kind of effects to happen. And with that colorful kind of sunset in the background, I thought that was a really beautiful moment. Clear. This is a clear night. You know, probably like, I don't know what tonight's going to be like, but looking at the forecast earlier. What was it? See here. So it's Sunday. Let me refresh this. So as of yesterday, it said it was going to be clear night, but who knows? Yeah, it looks like it's going to cloud up a bit tonight around sunset, 7 o'clock. It's going to be 75% cloudy, 69% cloudy. So it's going to be a little cloudy tonight. Doesn't look like there's going to be any clear nights, like totally clear nights, until so like here, 8% cloudy, 9% cloudy at sunset. That's your best chance right there. At least that's according to this. That's just coming up on Saturday, this coming Saturday. So as you can see right now, it's saying it's 1% cloudy out there, and it's pretty clear. It's a pretty much a blue sky out there. Anyway, these would be your best chances for, as you can see here, these gray areas indicate the amount of cloud cover that's going on there. So anyway, so those are examples of not creative, but just observed long exposure situations. So and then these were same thing, just using a few different cameras and different lenses and things to capture it. So that was fun. And then let me go to creative desktop. Okay, so on this, I have a fire pit in my backyard, and on this one, I was just playing around with a string of lights that I had in my hand, and I was just seeing what kind of effects I could get just by twirling them around and swinging them around and things like that. And then you can see my silhouette there behind it. And so these are just like 10-second exposures on f8 and at 800 ISO, and you can see it's kind of creating. At some point, I wrapped the lights around my arms and around my waist, and then I just it was a rechargeable light source, so I was able to put it in my pocket and just move around. And then I did some little experiments later on. Like even here, you can see I get some of the. This is Moorhead back here that's glowing in the sky. This is the light pollution that Moorhead gives off, and then you can see over here it's a 25-second exposure at f8 at 800 ISO, and then here are a few more of those experiments just with taking those lights and just twirling them around. Here's a couple multiple. Image exposures on top of one another. There's another one that was kind of experimental. Another one. Some of these are pretty cool. Some of them, like that one, it's kind of cool. So these are, I have a video on this on Blackboard as well, not Blackboard, on YouTube. Then I had a fire going in the fire pit, and I lit one of the like a stick I had on fire, and I started to basically spell out the alphabet. So I just with the stick on fire, just kind of went through the process because I didn't know what I wanted to write at the time. So I just wanted to kind of create a bunch of letters. So I'm just drawing them in the sky and then writing them. Then I looked at them on the back of the LCD to see how good they turned out, and some of them were better than others. That was a good P. The Q is backwards. Here's the R. That's not that great. S. So like this is where the M is actually there's the stick is on fire, where this one is just the fire has gone out, but it's red because it's glowing. The end of the stick is just glowing. And when I say stick, it's just literally, it broke off of a tree. It was laying on the ground. I walked over, I grabbed it, I stuck it in the fire. It started burning. I took it out, and I just started, spelling this out. And I gave myself about 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 13 seconds. I just played around with different timing to see if I can get something that was good. So then I did the numbers because I didn't know if I wanted to use numbers or letters. I was really proud of that 5. I thought that was a really nice 5. 6 is backwards. 7's backwards. 8, 9's backwards. But this is Photoshop, so I can just flip it around. I got it backwards. I can flip it around. I'm not sure why I got the K right. Look, K is perfect, but I couldn't figure out how to do a 9 backwards for some reason. Q again backwards. I guess it's a J. I don't know. Here's the 6. It's a better 6. So I kept trying to get the 6 right. Okay. Anyway, so I thought that with that I could literally spell anything I wanted to, right? So put all these letters together and spell something. So what do you guys want me to spell? Got a word in mind? Any word that comes to mind right now for any of you guys? How about happy? So I need an H, I need a P, and I need a Y. Happy. I thought we do like it's let's say we're making a Christmas card, right? Happy 2022, right? So it's like next year, have a happy 2022. So we would need a 2, we'd need a 0, and I don't have a 0. I think I can use the O for the 0. So so where's my O? Here's an O. And I think I like this one better because yeah, let's use that one. I think that one would be nicer. So let's do that one. So those are all the layers I would need to do this project. So I can just tell Bridge to bring all these photos into Photoshop by loading them into Photoshop layers. Okay, and then I'll probably need this is if you look at the image size that we're working with here, the photo image size is already significantly large. So right now it's just showing me pixels. But if I change that pixels to inches, it's 19 by 12 is the size of the actual image itself. But if I wanted to be able to spell out HAPPY 2022, then I would need to increase it. That means HAPPY 2 up and 4 across. HAPP 5 across. Sorry. For happy. I mean, I can shrink these down considerably to get them to fit into whatever size I want. But if I wanted to take full advantage of the quality of the image and not degenerate the image at all, I would just maybe double the height and quadruple the width. So under canvas size, I'm going to tell it to add in inches. We'll go to inches. We'll double the height. So it's 13. So that means it would be 26 high. Let's just make it 30. Just give us some wiggle room. And then times 20 by 5 would be like 100 inches. That's 1,000. Sorry. And then hit OK. And then Command 0 to fit it all into the screen. So here's our A. That's the 0. I need that to be. Actually, to duplicate that and then reverse it on itself. So I think what I'll do is I'll take that, make a copy of it, and then oops, make a copy of it. Don't throw it away. Stupid. And then I'm going to, under transform, flip it horizontal, and then take its opacity and change it to, why is it taking so long to flip? And then change that to something like that. That's cool. I've got two of my faces in there now. So let's link those two together. It's 49595. And let's we'll just group those together. Compass 0. Okay, so H A. Let's go. H is where? H is here. We'll put that at the bottom. P here. Need another P, so I'm just going to drag on that one. Go here, P, and then the Y goes over here. Okay, 2 needs to be here. H needs to be here. Okay, so I need 2 more 2s, so I'm just going to option drag. Okay, so let me just hide this for 1 second. So now we're talking about composition, really. Maybe it all fits into this space right here. H, A, P, P, and Y. And let's move this up on scale. So, and let's tell that layer to lighten. Screen looks good. And then the P that's underneath it, let's move it to the left a bit. Then do that same screen technique there. And the P that's here, we'll move that over a little bit. And the A that's here, we'll do a screen on it too. And the H looks good. Happy 2022. Cool. Now we can just crop that. So I'll need all that space. Okay, sweet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a background layer here real quick, because next thing I'm going to do is get rid of some of this content that's in and around like these logs. Maybe get rid of that, and maybe this is like a little bin that sits out there that I collect the stuff that goes into the fire. What's it called? Firewood. No, kindling. That's it. That's what it's called. So I'm going to hide H for a second just so that I can see the background color here. And I'm going to tell it to fill with a color. And then I'm going to sample just from the dark area here. And as you can see, it's not completely black. So something in this area here looks good. So so now when I erase, like on the H, and I get rid of this stuff over here, I can do that non-destructively by adding a layer, and then with a brush that's fairly large-ish. And then just opacity, set this to 100. And then maybe get a round brush here that allows me to feather it. And I can go to each one of these layers. Let's see which one is this one. That's the 2. And I can paint out stuff that I don't want to be in the picture. So like that, I don't want that pole to be in there, then I could take that out as well. So then there's another 2. 2A. To be or not to be. So just want to get rid of the content that really is bugging me. That's the P. Here's the 0. Yeah. So we're going to tell the zeros. Get rid of some of that. And same thing there. Okay. And then on the top one's A. Again, this is all non-destructive because I'm creating some masking layers on top of them. So here's the Y. Why? Because I said so. And this is P. And this one should be the other P. So really just kind of going through and taking out stuff that I don't think helps the composition. And yeah, looks better. Now, if I wanted to get rid of this edge that's here between, I think it's the 2s that really are the problem here. So I could, erase some of that content so that it doesn't, because it folds into, a little bit better into the background. I'll just go into those and just kind of play around with those, get that color moved out. It's got more of a consistent kind of background. Doesn't have a, you know, that strong line coming through it or anything like that. There you go. And then I think it's on the P, maybe the logs are showing through. A, same thing there. Just trying to make it all fit together nicely. And there we've got our almost there, but almost finished. Got our greetings for a new year. Happy 2022. So that would be a good example of a solution for creating a composite image out of some of your experimentations. If you're making letters in the sky and trying to spell stuff, this would be a more, let's call it a more anal retentive way to go about the process of spelling something out. Because I think when you're out there in the world doing things that are creative, sometimes you might not have an inspiration to go by. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But if you can plan and plan out your strategy so that you can later on in post-production come back and find all these various ways that you can go about doing something, like being creative with your word choice, you know, it gives you some time to think about it. Also, you're sitting at a computer, so you're like, oh, how do I actually spell cathartic? I want to spell that in the sky. I want to do a motivational poster that says, don't be cathartic. I don't know. I guess catharsis would be more the act. I don't know. Anyway, but then you can, you know, pull up your dictionary and you can say, okay, what word am I looking for? How do I spell cathartic? Cathartic. Did I get it right? I did get it right. Huh, that's surprising. I suck at spelling. But again, you know, these are other tools that we then have available to us while we're trying to you know, be creative and create stuff that's interesting. So it is. Yeah, it's more of a kind of a, you know, coming up with strategies to be able to better perform in the end. So, okay, so then let's say this was your finished product. That file is massive, right? So we already I cropped it a bit. So if you're looking at the canvas size on this one, in inches, it's 60, almost 63 inches by a little more than 25.5 inches. So that's a pretty massive image. I could print it that size, and I think there's a printer that has a print head that's 28 inches wide or 27 inches wide. So we could print that to 27 by 63 inches. And have that printed out. To save that file, if you save this as a Photoshop document, and just call this what it is, happy 2022. I'm going to save that into the observed folder. No, that's observed, it's creative. This is the creative folder. It's on the desktop. Save. Okay, let's just see how big that file is once it's done saving. Again, it's only what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 layers plus the background 10. Still saving. Halfway. And while it's saving, let me just see if there's any questions. Firebird. Oh, sorry, you guys gave me some ideas. Oh, thanks, Angel. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, we could do Happy Halloween. I just have to open up a, I've got the H, I've got the A, I got the O. I need a W, an E, an N, and an L. Okay, where's that? Under desktop, creative. So almost 2 gigs for that file. Okay, let's go back to Photoshop, and we'll save this now as a copy and then as a JPEG, and same place, save, and Z image and baseline optimized, largest file possible, hit OK. Okay, so if you're going to do something like this, be sure that you give me that file. That's still a big file, 72.7 megs, but don't give me the PSD file. It's way too big to put up onto to Blackboard, or to keep going, Blackboard, OneDrive. Okay, so let's go. I'm gonna hide the two, and keep the O up because we need that for, and that makes a better image, I think, for Halloween. So thanks, Angel, for that suggestion. So we need to duplicate the H, which is where's the H? And duplicate that. And then move it down to here. Duplicate the A. Move it down to here. The O is going to need to move over a bit. Whoops. So here's a quick tip for you guys. When you are moving things around inside of Photoshop and they're in a folder, so that's a group, right? And if you have your move tool in hand, you'll notice that it has a property of either moving layers or groups. So you can actually tell it to move a group without having to merge the group together. You just have to I just have to change that preset there from layer to group. So okay, we need L. So let's go into bridge, find our L. Didn't like that L so much. I don't know. I didn't do a good job of drawing the L out. Did I make another L? I did this one here. That one sucks pretty hard too. Oh, not two good ones. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to pull both those L's into Photoshop. So we're going to say select both of them, and then under Tools, under Photoshop, load files into Photoshop layer. Okay, and then I'm going to change its the one on top. This part I didn't like, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, also it's not kind of like that either. So I'm going to sample from the bottom layer here with the clone stamp tool. Sample there, and then paint on this layer here with that layer. So let's make it a little bigger. That, and then also get rid of this. Didn't like that either. Maybe get rid of that. And then make this layer overlay. Lighten screen, maybe. Color dodge. That looks like Halloween right there, doesn't it? Cool. Okay, so we're going to merge these layers together. So merge layers, and then let's call it L. And then I'm going to drag that into the stack of Halloween 2020, drop it right there. Oops. Let's go auto select L. Where's L? The hell would L go? There's L. I need to duplicate it and move it. God damn you, A. Sit still for a second, would you? And when you merge layers together, they lose their overlay mode method that you gave them. So you have to dial that in. Let's go to my O now. Let's change that to group. Remove the whole group. Oh, God. Auto select. Turn it off. Okay. Can't remember. Did I make it? I had to make a W. I must have. Yeah, there's my W. And I need an E and an N too. So my E is. I didn't like that E so much. Do you guys like that E? The other option is take a number 3 and just flip it sideways. So maybe we'll do that one. HOWEE and then an N. I can also use the Z sideways for that. Like this. I think I like the Z sideways. So let's pull that one in there. So we're not. Again, we can just open all 3 of these together. If you use this command here, load files into Photoshop layers, it'll bring all 3 of those in together. And then you can manipulate them here before you take them over there. So, like, for example, the W is fine. So I'm just going to drag it over to the happy place here. And again, changing its composite mode to lighting works nice there. And then we need the E, which is back inside of here. That's the N. So the N needs to go. We need to rotate that and then flip it horizontally. And there, edit, transform, flip horizontal. Now we have an N. Okay, let's change that to N. And then drag that into, jeez, what did I do with that? There it is. Okay. Goes over here. And again, I could have changed it back there, but I didn't. So it was lighten was a good one. I think I need to kern these a little bit more. What do you guys think? I'm running out of room here. Let's get the E over and then see what happens. So, and here's the E. Actually, it's a 3. So let's flip that horizontally. Now it's an E. So let's bring that over to here. And again, lighten. A little tight, right? That's how you spell it, right? Halloween. Halloween. Okay, now I'm going to turn auto select back on, change it from group to layer, and then just start moving these around a little bit. This is kerning, right? When you move, tighten up the distance between letters. Oh, that's right, I locked A. That's what I did. J, copy. L, that's the one I want. You can also do fine tuning with, if you hold the shift key down and then use your arrow keys, you can get things to move around nicely. It's called nudging. Just nudging. Looks good. And then the W, which is, I don't think I called it W. Yeah, I didn't. So it's called W. W, auto select turned off. E, N's a little close to the side, so let's just move that. I can also add more space to this if I wanted to. Don't forget, I've got a black background that's back there. If I needed to expand that that layer, I can make it larger. But the canvas is not larger. So if I made this larger, you wouldn't see anything change for the canvas. You would need to make the canvas bigger first. So under Image, Canvas Size, and then tell the canvas size in inches to go up. So let's make it, I'm just going to add an inch to each side. So 64 by 27, let's say. And then Option drag, make that looks like a big. And you can see I've got some editing to do down here with these. I could have done that back here on this layer if I had thought about it. Just getting rid of that content. That would have been a smart thing to do. But now I've got to go back into the N, for example, add a mask, and then with a brush with black. Okay, it's not on that layer. Where did it come from? Let's go. Auto select turned on. Click on it. It's on the E copy layer. That's where it is. Yeah. There it is. Okay. O copy is where here. Oh, I used it. I didn't make a copy of it, so I don't think it's on that layer. It's been on one of the L's. Yeah, it's on this L. No, it's not. It's on the W. Yeah. And then the other L, maybe this one. Yeah. There we go. do you guys think? Maybe the happy could be kerned out a little bit more. I like that double image of myself in there. That's it's kind of cool, very spooky looking. Okay, anybody else have any questions about anything I've done so far with either one of these projects? So hopefully it gives you some insight as to ways to go about post-production processing for some of these ideas. You know, I highly recommend that you know, just trying things out, experimenting, and then seeing what happens. You know, capturing focus. I can't explain how important it is to make sure that you're getting the right focus. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Like for this particular one here, what I did was I had a string of lights, and they're only about, you know, maybe about 3 or 4 inches apart each light. So it creates this like a web kind of idea. And I had that image in my head when I was thinking about this. So what I did is, and you can see they get closer together. We get closer together as I get further back into the distance. So what I did is I took the string of lights and I tied them to this pole back here. Then I walked towards the camera, and then I basically just stood there with the string of lights in my hand and just kind of used it like a jump rope, you know, twirling it around like a jump rope. But then I started waving it in different directions and trying different kind of patterns with it just to see what happened with them. And then I brought them as a composited image into Photoshop and organized them together there. So I'll do that again here just to show you how I did that. So it took like, I don't know, it took, because I have, how many are here? There's so many here. I could, you know, do so many different examples of. So let's combine 3 files together here. 1, 2. No, they're too similar. Let's go 1, 2, 1, 2. No, 1. Yeah, it's, that one's kind of cool. It's random. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we've got 3 images here that I have activated in Bridge, and then I'm going to go right click on one of them and tell that to open into Camera Raw. All right, cool. So then what I'm going to do inside of Camera Raw is maybe play with the color fields here a bit, because they're all kind of like a warm kind of color that's going on top of them. So so this is under color grading. So what I'm going to do is just push the grade of the color over on this one towards magentas, right? And then on this one, I'm going to push the color grading over towards like a teal. And then on this one, I'm going to push the color grading over to something like purples. So basically I have RGB here, okay? All right, so then I'm going to put all 3 of them together, 1, 2, 3. And then under the ellipse icon here, we're going to tell it to merge to HDR. Now, if you were to look at the metadata on each one of these shot with this 5D, you would see that there is a bit of similarity between all 3 of them, right? So there's not much difference going on between them. So whether I go high, medium, or low, turn that off for a second just so you can see it, right? And then we're going to hit merge. Remember, this technique, it creates a DNG file out of it, digital negative. So that's the three of those together. 1, 2, 3. Right. Now let me open the three of these now into Photoshop. So we're going to then just say I guess it's not allowing me to do it here. We go. Just got to open them. One, two, three, and I'm gonna pull each one of these into the other one that's there. So there's that file, there's this file, and there's this file. Okay, so we'll take this one, pull here, and take this one, and we'll pull it here as well. Select all of them, align or edit. Just manually do it. Okay, so top layer, overlay onto the one that's behind it. This is darken, here's multiply, here's lighten, here's screen, here's color dodge, linear dodge. There's a lot of different answers here to this question, right? So possibilities, right? And then the layer that's under it also have it dissolve onto the background behind it. So then tell it to then go backwards in different ways. So linear, so that's kind of cool. So all three of those layers together, where they line up, you get white, RGB. And where they don't, they emit either the combination of R and B, combination of B and R, the combination of R and G, B and G. So you're going to get a mixture of varying colors. And then sometimes where they don't touch, where the colors are overlapping, there's going to be completely blackened area. So I'm using some of the knowledge that I have from knowing what colored lights do together when you put them together. So I'm manipulating them manually as just a they were just white lights to start with, and I just turn them into different colors and then combine them together to create other possibilities. So it's largely, most of this is kind of like kind of greens and purples that are coming through here. But just by changing one particular overlay mode, you'll get a much different result from it. So this is just changing the one on top. And then if you were to take, let's say, layer 0 and put it on top, it would have a very different look to it if you did an overlay mode on it. So you would get another kind of variation on the theme as well. So if this one were not difference but just normal, then you would get these R overlapping blue, B, red overlapping blue, and blue overlapping green. So when blue overlaps green, blue and green combined together is going to give you some of these kind of blue-green kind of parts that are overlapping there, right? Blue and green, blue and green. Blue by itself is going to be blue, kind of purpley blue, and then green by itself is going to be just green. And then when I bring R into it, red, you're going to see where they overlap, you're going to see some orangey kind of yellows. And then where they don't, where they all overlap, it'll be perfectly white. And then where they don't, anything touches, it'll turn into black. So, but having fun with lights, that's what this is all about. Okay, let's see if you guys have any questions.